I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erika.
And this is the Her Podcast.
Okay, guys. So we are getting honest, vulnerable, and open about our relationships with money. Dun, dun, dun. This is a tough topic for so many of us. Uncomfortable to talk about and often tied to a lot of shame. We share how money was or wasn't talked about growing up, some of our earliest money memories, and yes, mine does include a trip to Claire's. And I share my personal journey with money and the tips and tools that I needed to use to save my marriage and get us back on track financially. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Risk it for the biscuit.
Here we go, everybody.
Risk it for the...
Can everyone tell?
What kind of biscuit is it?
I like cheese biscuits.
love biscuits.
I love
Cheese
a biscuit.
biscuits.
Like a tea biscuit. That honey biscuit from Junior Cafe.
I wouldn't purchase a biscuit though if
No.
it came with some. I like my homemade ones from my grandma.
Yeah, I grew up
Her
with
recipe,
homemade.
And
but
that's
I'm like,
that's the first thing CJ ever made me was a biscuit.
Really?
probably
I
would've
was
been.
pregnant. We went to visit CJ and she was like, got home from work. And this is the first time I met her. We were like sitting there and she was like, I'm making biscuits and soup. I hope that's okay. And I was pregnant and we ate. And I literally was like, that was so good. And like ran upstairs and vomited everywhere. It was just, I was so sick with Nate. Like I was so sick with Nate. And I remember being like,
The
I
whole
was
pregnancy?
so nice the first time you showed up.
yeah, she
We've talked
literally,
about that before.
she was literally like, no,
Because I was so nice.
she was
to her.
like, tomorrow
She puked.
morning. She's like, tomorrow morning I booked you a
I
facial.
remember you saying that.
And I was like,
was this
is
your
this
like?
chick?
She was like, this girl's gonna
and
be
we
my
were
friend.
sold.
Yeah, we got along really good. It was really great.
We're
Puke and
both good
biscuits.
friends.
I thought-
we're both good friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to figure out how to sit here.
Okay.
I'm wearing an outfit today that
It's a great outfit.
Do you want to know what though? I was telling CJ, I like had a moment because I was like, now that we're sitting in chairs, full disclosure, as much of a confident queen as I am, I'm like,
The jeans.
the jeans
That's why I
and the
didn't wear
crop
jeans
tops are
today.
just, you know, so I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to try to own it because in the summer I want to wear crops and I don't want to be like
I was going to ask you, where's your crop from?
H&M.
Okay.
It's a sports bra because
That's what I thought.
Yes.
promise you, every time I wear a crop top and people are like, I love your crop top, I'm like, it's a bra.
Right.
It's a sports bra because you get thicker material, so like the nippies don't show.
But they don't have that one anymore. That's
No, this
an
was
old one.
last year.
Yeah.
But I will swear by going to Winners and looking in the sports bra section.
Okay.
I just
Which
need
I've seen you purchase some last time we were together.
well,
You to go to Winners for me because I don't have the patience to shop.
No,
at
but if you're
Winners.
just in the bra, like again, if you just go to the
Yeah.
sports bra section, they have a couple brands. There's like a 360 brand and then another brand, and they're long and they're thick, and they like so you don't have to wear a bra, like you don't have to wear a bra with them, which is
Yeah.
ideal. And I just have to get comfortable.
okay, but Megan is a money what did we say? An avoidant.
I'm an anxious avoidant. Attachment style?
So
Yes.
she's like, you have a headache today.
I have a headache.
You have a money headache
I have a money headache.
because you're anxiously avoiding
Talking about
our
any
topic
of
today.
this. When you were like, Erika has some really good tips, I was like, perfect. I'll just sit in the corner and listen.
That's so funny.
It's uncomfortable for me.
And I just think it's so interesting, like how we perceive money when we're younger and how we've grown up and how that leads into how we handle money as we're older. And I think sometimes if we don't stop and evaluate, right? Like what happened in our childhood? Like how were we affected? You know, how do I now want to handle money? Do I have a scarcity mindset? Do I have an abundance mindset? Right? Like what are my healthy relationships with money? What are my unhealthy tendencies? And I think we just adopt sometimes what we've taken on from our parents or learned or, you know, whatever without stopping to be like, okay, what serves me and what doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think, I mean, I can speak to, I remember talking about money with my parents like a tiny bit. I remember reading through a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And my parents were like, you like have to read this book. But I was probably 14 or 13. And again, I'm like, I'm a firm believer with parenting that like you have to like re-talk about topics over and over again. Like you can't just like read a book once and then be
one and
like,
done.
okay, we're good. Like I think I would have loved a bit more training with money, even in school. Like
Oh,
even in
100%.
school, I'm like, I would have loved to learn more about budgeting and living inside of your means and like what that looks like. And I think I just like never understood it. And again, I didn't want for anything as a kid ever. And you know, by the time I was like in grade 11 and 12, like grade 12, my mom got her new job, which was high profile, like much more income coming into our lives. And so I think I experienced, especially in grade 12, and being the youngest and the only one in the home. And I think maybe my mom and dad felt a little guilty about my mom being away all the time. Just more like getting what I wanted, right? Like my dad bought me like a decent vehicle to drive out to school because I was going to school outside the city. Like my siblings all shared the same car. And then I was given, they wrecked that car, which is why I didn't get it. But, you know, I was given a vehicle.
Yeah.
And didn't have to pay for it and really didn't have to pay for my gas unless it was like, I want to go, you know, but my dad was paying for that. And so I think I definitely experienced a bit of unrealistic ideas of how money worked. And I was definitely always the kid who would like get her money and spend it. I did not save ever.
Nor did
I never understood the benefit of saving. Now, as someone who's just been diagnosed with ADHD, I understand the impulsivity that comes with ADHD and the instant gratification that I would have gotten from purchasing something, and from not like saving would have felt so boring to me. And it still does. Saving actually feels very boring to me. It's like so lame. Right. And so I always say it like this, and I don't want to make myself sound dumb because I'm not. I'm very smart. But I think I just like didn't really understand money. I think I just kind of was like,
but I think that's most people.
Money's here.
And so especially
fair.
Women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, not that I want a blanket statement. Maybe there's people out there who do not agree with that, but I'm like, most people from the people I've rubbed shoulders with do not feel like they have a good handle on money because it wasn't talked about, either whether it's within the home or within the educational system, right? And then all of a sudden we get thrown out into the world and it's like, okay, now you're supposed to be able to manage money. And it's like, if that's not something you take into your own hands.
Yeah, I just think at some point I developed this like not understanding, and I and all of my siblings, if they listen to this, will be like, yep, I got away with everything. Like I was able to be like, Dad, can like right? Or like I remember my parents had this system. So the year I was outside of university, so I graduated and I took a year off, and their rule was you can live at home and not pay rent, and everything you say, if you want to put it into your bank account, we will match it the next year.
Ooh, that's
for
like,
university.
Wow.
So they were like, you can put $2,000 into your account over the next year and we will hand you $2,000. I saved at the end of it $200. And my parents were like, you dumb bum. Like,
here's your $200.
Which you probably owe us. So you're like, right? Like I was given opportunity.
Yep.
But because I live in the moment,
you didn't see the value.
I didn't see the value. I always understood having fun now and experiencing life right now. And I still do, right? I'm all about right now, what's happening. And so the future was so far away. And I never was like, and you think about that, I'm like, I could have saved like 10 grand.
Yeah. I saved $0 my year off between high school and university.
Nothing.
Like, I worked all the time. What did I do with it?
I don't even know what I did.
I have no idea.
No, I'm pretty sure I shopped. Well, and so I remember my dad, they bought me a car my first year of university. But I bought it, but they bought it.
Yeah.
And they were like, you will pay us every month.
Yes.
And of course, you know, a month would go and I'd go, can I pay you next month? You know, and I would catch up eventually. But I remember it was with that car got totaled. So I had to buy a second car. And my dad was like, you will be buying this car. You will go to the bank and you will be responsible for paying the bank because this is not working, because you need to learn responsibility.
How did that shift everything for you at that point? Or was it just like, okay,
it was like,
I guess I'll have to make this payment on time.
My dad co-signed because I obviously have no money.
Well, no.
So my dad co-signed, and I remember, I think, would it be called default on a payment? Default on a payment. I think like once. Yep. And then I never did it again.
Because you have to pay a pretty high fee.
Because I understood. I understood, I need to pay that.
Yeah.
So I think when there was more responsibility to it, and I understood I needed to do this, I always had enough money. Like, you know, I'd be like, okay, I have to make my payment. I have to pay for my phone. But then instead of being like, okay, well now I'm going to save the half of the rest, I'd go blow the rest of the money.
Correct.
So I'd be like, I can make all my payments and then go play with all the rest of my money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like investing in my future at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. It was bad.
Well, and I'd really love to hear, because like obviously Erica, when I went you, like if we can like fast track forward, you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like you were probably still in a similar area with money, like as you just described, right? With yourself of just like spending what came in, right?
I feel like it's like my dark little secret.
Shopping. You were a big shopper.
I still am. I feel like my like dark little bit about me that not a lot of people know, which I'm fine to share about now. No, I like came home from China. So a little backstory is I worked, I spent all my money. I like never did anything. I moved to China to like get away from some stuff here. And my sister was like, I can either pay you or I can pay your entire life in China. And I was like,
Okay, but you were nannying.
I was nannying for them. So I was like, that would be great if I had
just randomly moved to China.
I was a nanny. And they were like, we'll just like foot your bills. And I was like, that sounds great. And so that's what I did. And then I came home and I was like, I'm going to go back to school, blah, blah. Nick and I get married. We get pregnant very quickly. And I very quickly become a stay-at-home mother. So when I got married, I think I had no idea about contributing to the marriage financially. I also had a husband who like, I think Nick would say was like very like, I got you, like it's good. Like, you know, like no worries, be at home with the baby. We very much valued me being at home with the kids. Like that was a thing. But I very quickly developed, I would say now, like understanding my money personality and understanding more about me. I think like shopping makes me feel better. And it started to take a very real toll on my husband and I, because I was basically putting us into like financial stress. He had been communicating with me being like, we have a budget, like you're blowing through it. Like we are, and he kept saying to me, we are spending more than we're making. And I was like, okay. But again, this idea of like, but we pay off the bill. And I'm like, it's fine.
But
like,
I'm
chill.
just spending the money that's left over.
Yeah, I'm just like spending what's there. And like the credit card never says declined. And it's like, fine. And again, it would be like a HomeSense trip with like 2 pillows. Like it was not like I was coming home with like stupid things. Well, they were stupid. But
It's like Nick.
Well, not like thousands and thousands of dollars.
It's
Like
not
some
like
people,
Nick would be like, oh my gosh, you blew thousands of dollars.
you know, talk
No.
about going on a spending trip and they go like blow a lot of money.
It was little things all the time.
Adding up.
It was little things all the time. And
Like
we
a
were
little-
a single income household, you know, mortgage, cars. We had 2 vehicles. Like there was just things.
Yep.
And so, things were very bad between Nick and I actually, really, really bad. Like that's like a whole other episode, but I was pretty sure we were done at one point. We had set a budget as a family. I continually blew through it. I continually like just, I don't know how to say it. I just did not respect the what we had decided as a married couple. And one day Nick walked into the kitchen and he was very upset with me and he said, I am done managing the budget. You will do this now because you're not listening. You're not hearing me. I can show you our bank account. And he again was like, it is our future I'm worried about because we're not saving. And he's like, and you keep talking about wanting to do renos at the farm when we move. And you keep talking about these things and we are physically not going to be able to do it. And we are going to be living paycheck to paycheck and not having the life you continually say you want.
Right.
And so he was like, wake up. Like you have to learn and own this. And we had like a few fights like that, but that was a big one where he was basically like, I'm done. I will not be logging into the budget anymore.
Figure it out.
Like you want to go get groceries? You figure it out. You figure out how much money you have left to
He placed the
spend.
responsibility
He literally
on
put it
you.
all on me. And he was like, I'm not doing this. And I was like, oh, he's mad. Right? Like I was like, oh, okay. And I'm a typical like kick in the butt person. Like if someone really
same.
gives me something, I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, my marriage is like falling apart. Like it was bad. And I was like, this is not the life I want. And so I ended up, I don't remember what spurred it on, but I was like, I gotta like figure this out because I don't want to get divorced. If we get divorced, what? I had no job. And so I don't remember what happened, but I started to be like, I need to change and I need to figure this out. So I remember, and I don't remember what happened first, but Nick and I ended up reading this book called The Money Personalities, or The 5 Money Personalities. And it's so good. And if anyone knows like the 5 love languages, it's kind of like that. Like you do this test and it tells you what your
money language or
the way you perceive money.
Furnishing your home or space can be a big investment, but what if I told you guys it doesn't have to be? If you're looking to furnish or refresh your space, but you aren't ready to invest a lot of money up front, then you need to hear about Pivot. We just upgraded our podcast studio with Pivot, and we're loving the new furniture. If you guys haven't gone and checked out our new setup yet with our pink chairs, you're going to want to do that. Pivot is a Canadian company helping people by making home furnishings more convenient, accessible, and less wasteful. They offer a variety of beautiful furniture options in multiple colors and finishes, designed with quality materials that last. So it's affordable for everyone and easy on the environment. Plus, it's stain resistant, making it kid and pet friendly too. You need to check out the Pivot subscription option, perfect for anyone who likes flexibility, convenience, and low prices. Get low monthly pricing and the flexibility to keep your space fresh as your life and style change. Choose furniture, then sit back and relax while Pivot handles the delivery and the assembly for free. Refresh your space whenever you like with the furniture swaps, and payments decrease by 20% each year. So the longer you subscribe, the lower your payments get. Pivot offers furniture that can adapt to life's changes with flexibility, affordability, and sustainability at the forefront. Find them on Instagram at Pivot Subscriptions. That's PIVOT Subscriptions. And view all of the premium furniture options at pivotfurniture.com. You'll find the link in the show notes.
And what I never knew about this was like, it's so ingrained in you as a person. Mm-hmm. And so, cause I would go through phases where I'd be like, I'm not going to spend any money this month. And then I'd like walk into a store and see something I just like had to have and be like, I have to have this. You want to buy something, I'm your queen of justifying why you need it, how you need it, why it's going to benefit your life. Like I can do the opposite too, but I'm like, this was in my life. I would physically stand there and be like, I want this. I need this. It's only $100. Oh, it's going to like fulfill me. I'm going to buy it. And so I was like, why is this happening? And I did for a while think like, I was like, I have a problem. Like there's something wrong in my brain.
Was it giving you like a hit of adrenaline?
I'm sure
like,
now with ADHD, it was probably dopamine.
Yeah. Okay.
It was probably dopamine.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
And so
like a shopper's high.
When I started to feel almost like weak in myself, like I was like, I am going to these stores and like, this sounds so dumb and it's kind of actually like embarrassing to talk about, but like, why can't I physically walk away from this? Like, what is going on in my body that I need to have it? Because if I don't have it, what does that look like?
But you had these thoughts?
Oh, actively. Like, I would stand there when I was in these phases of like, I'm going to save money.
Which, like, in hindsight, is also, like, the ADHD plays into it, we know, but also possibly addiction.
Oh, absolutely. Addiction.
I think
absolutely.
people don't talk about or realize how much spending money is addictive.
I'm going all over the place, but I think what was probably happening is my marriage was spiraling. Things were, like, not well. I, like, had a third baby. I will admit, like, I was not a great stay-at-home mom. I think my identity was gone. I had no idea who I was. And I was finding a lot of joy in going and like decorating my house and feeling better about that. And, you know, doing these things, like it made me feel better.
That you could own. That was yours.
And just, you know, made me feel better. And just so, Nick and I decided to read this 5 Money Personality book. My dad gave it to us actually and was like, you guys should read this. Of course. Surprise. So we took this test and it told us our money personalities. And Nick is a saver and... Oh, there's 5. I should have looked at that.
It's like spender,
there's
saver,
saver, risk taker, flyer, and it's another saver, but it's like
security
seeker.
Are you like mostly
You're 2.
Okay.
2.
One
dominant. And so Nick was a saver, security seeker. I was a spender, risk taker, which they're like, these are the 2 hardest people to be in relationship with each other.
Wow.
So what was great about this book is he learned about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I learned why he was mad. So I could have told, like, I don't think I would have been able to be like, I'm a risk taker and a spender. Now I know this about myself. But what it allowed us to do was walk through, like, why is my wife doing this? Because I think he didn't understand that I didn't get it. Like, and I didn't, it was like a part of me. Like, this is like your money, the way you view money is very integral in you. And just like a lot of other things. Yeah. And so he was like, oh, like, this is like who my wife is. Like we can't change this about her. So knowing that, we like started to just have really open conversations about our budget. Me having ownership was way helpful. But then what I was running into was what happens when I go to a store. Because I can sit at home and be all like, rah, me, I'm not going to spend any money. But then I would go to a store and it would be like, I want that. I want it so bad. I can like picture the outfit. I can like picture how I'm going to like post about it. Like I can do all these things in my head.
Okay. So I have a quick question about that. Were you like trying to avoid stores, or were you like, I need, like, trying to justify going to a store because did you need an outfit, or what were you going to the stores for?
I mean, again, I would like run errands.
Okay.
And then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to pop into Marshall's or
Right.
like HomeSense or Old Navy.
Okay.
Right. And again, I think I look back, I'm like, I think I spent a lot of money on my kids, which is like really easy to do.
Which is also fun.
It's also fun and
Yes.
it's like like really easy to do.
Yes.
And you know, I'd be like, I will fully own right now that becoming an influencer impacted this greatly. Because I started to be like, I need to keep up with the Joneses.
Negatively.
I now need white curtains in my home, and I need a white bedspread, and I need a big mirror to do try-ons, and I need these things that is going to make my house look pretty for photos. 100%, this is a part of this. And so I would say that then I was so I was like, okay, I know my money personality. I'm like in charge of the budget. Like, we've got this. And then I was like, but what happens when I like start to be like, I want that thing. And so I started researching, and I started being like, how to save money. And it'd be like, set a budget. Here's how to set a budget. Here's how to set a budget. And I was like, no. I have the budget. How do I not swipe my card? Nothing. How to set a budget. Use cash. Who carries all that cash?
Nobody.
This. And I just was like, ooh, like, what am I going to do? Because I could tell I needed physical tools and tactics to help me not do this. And so I basically developed tools for myself. And I was reflecting, I didn't bring them, but I looked through my journals from that time. And I had at one point developed 2 personas for myself.
Okay.
So 2 people.
Okay, but like, can you explain the persona? Like, developing a persona?
So what I had done is I'd been like, okay, who am I right now? And I had like made myself in this persona. And I was like, you are someone spending outside of their budget. That's what I am doing. I am the person who spends outside of their budget. Mm-hmm. And then the second persona was, I am someone who spends within my budget on things I don't need.
Okay.
So the idea was, the first person is just balls to the wall spending money they shouldn't be spending money. They're over their budget. Wants, needs, everything.
Okay.
The second one was spending within your means, but on things that I didn't need.
Okay. So you really pinpointed.
I really pinpointed, because this idea of I can pay my bills, and now I have $400 to go spend.
I'm going to HomeSense.
But do I really? I need to? What is that about? And really, that second persona was really digging into like why I needed to spend the money. The first one was like, you got to get it under control.
Right.
Like, we got to figure out how to just like get in your budget. The second one was, okay, now we're going to look at
let's
go to the root.
Let's go into the root of what's happening here.
We're getting emotional.
Right. Like, we're going to figure out what's up. So, the first one I developed tools on how to not spend money.
Okay. I need the tools.
I'm going to pull them up because I actually wrote them down. But the only thing I'm going to apologize for in advance is like, I was doing this at like 6 a.m. So I was like, right, like half asleep, my heat pack on my neck, and like.
How did you develop the tools? Did you make a list, or what was the process?
I really wish I could share that. I don't remember.
Okay, great.
I just remember being like, what am I doing? Like, what am I feeling when I go into those stores? What is what do I need to, I don't know, like get a grasp on? And again, I'm like, I wish I could be like, I sat down and meditated and this came to me. I'm like, I don't remember. It was like,
Yeah.
It's like 2018. Like, I'm like, I've had a lot happen since then. So what I started to do was be like, I need support.
Okay.
Because I physically am like having a visceral,
Yeah.
like, I can't do this. So for persona 1, which was spending outside of your budget, blowing your budget.
Yeah.
Just like, what do you got to detox? You got to like remove yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So those tips I had, the number one tip I had, and actually CJ was my person at the time, was an accountability person. So someone that when I was shopping and I felt very excited about something, I could send them a photo and say, I'm wanting to buy this. And in this honestly, it's sounding like AA. It's like someone who goes, hey, like, I want to buy this. And I'm physically having a hard time walking away from this. And I'm physically, like, I'm having a very emotional response to this situation in this store. I need you to, like, support me and be like, hey, like, acknowledge that what I want is cute and nice. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and be like, that's great. But, like, just remember, you don't actually have that money.
Right.
And like, what happens when you leave the store? Because you're going to get that high right now, and then you're going to home and like have a fight with Nick.
Yeah.
So like really having an accountability person was a big one for me in that
huge.
starting phase. And like, again, I'm like, this is like embarrassing kind of to be like, I had this problem.
I think it's very self-aware, and that you knew that you needed a tangible tool, and that you immediately enrolled somebody to help you that you knew would support you and hold you accountable.
Yeah. And I knew that CJ was going to be, and it's funny now because I'll send CJ pictures of things and she's like, I know if you're sending me a picture of an item, you're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, remember when I sent you the Stanley mug and I said, tell me I don't need this.
And we were like, you don't need it. And then I messaged CJ, I already bought it for her.
But this is my point. I literally said,
Yeah.
tell me I don't need this.
Yeah.
And that is still something I do.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
and sometimes
I'll send
we'll
Megan,
ask
and Megan's
questions.
like, but you kind of do. And I'm like, I know. 'cause
I'm the
I'm
worst.
But wrong person. So that was part of the first persona, was an accountability person. That's your first tip. The second one, and this one is real basic. It kind of goes hand in hand, but don't go shopping and unsubscribe from emails.
Yes.
Unsubscribe. Out of sight, out of mind, unsubscribe.
Unless it's Elizabeth Lynn Jewelry.
Unless it's Elizabeth Lynn Jewelry or Carousel Media.
Yeah.
Don't go shopping. And I know that one's hard because that is a female activity. Right. And I don't think
But
we
is
do.
it becoming less and less?
I think
online
it is
shopping?
less, but like
Like,
I
not
remember
then.
going shopping.
Yeah.
Well,
not
you got together with your girlfriends. What should we do? Let's hang out on Saturday afternoon. You go
Well,
shopping.
And even my sister and I would be like, let's go to Home Sense and then Indigo and grab a Starbucks, and it'll be like a date. And
It's
I
like a
still
ritual.
firmly believe in having those days within your means.
Yeah.
So that was a big one for me, was like, don't go shopping. And the thing I wrote down at that time was, what stores do you always leave with something?
Oh.
So
those are
what
the
store?
ones
And
to
those were the
avoid?
ones I avoided.
So which ones were
Home
they?
Sense?
Yes.
Home Sense, always Home Sense.
I think
and
that's probably
it was,
number one for a lot of people.
yes. Yeah. It's so easy to grab. You can get anything there. And you're just like, I need that. And you know what? You might actually need a whisk or a doormat.
And the
Yeah.
power of online, like you
The power
mentioned
of
earlier.
online, yeah.
Mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like influencing, and it's like we
Yeah.
just see, and I'm no way knocking this, like
No.
whatsoever, like totally okay with it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you're consuming content where it's like, look what I just purchased from this
Yes.
place, look what I just purchased from this place, right? It's like building up. Okay, when I get there, what am I gonna purchase from this place?
Yes.
right.
Yep. And just like,
And if that's a trigger point for
yes.
you,
and replacing things I really didn't need to replace.
Yeah. Because you just wanted something new.
Oh, because my house needed to be white and airy and bright, and I needed neutral pillows, and I needed this and all these things. And and again, I'm a huge advocate for influencing. I'm a huge advocate for content creating, but it took a toll on my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like a whole thing about me. And there are people who'll be like, that didn't happen to me. That's great. So that was my biggest, those three things were accountability person, don't go shopping, and unsubscribe from emails. And that for me is like a detox. Like it's, it's literally like, and your accountability person might also then step into persona number 2, but also when you're like, I am having a bad day and I'm taking my kid to the doctor today and I actually have time and all I want to do is go walk through Indigo today. It's like, okay, don't do that. Go home, read a book, just having that person that can kind of walk you through that, because financial ruin and it's serious, right?
I think you really just made a great point of to the aspect of how emotional it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for a long time for myself, when I was upset or sad or stressed, it was like, I'm going to just buy myself something to make me feel better.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. How
Or
often, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go shopping.
Yeah.
Because now that'll make me feel better.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the other day you and I went shopping and I was having a bad day. And I literally said, I'm having a bad day. And I like threw something in the cart.
And then CJ was like, give me your purse.
Actually, but then everything in my cart I actually needed. So it was like, it was all good. It was within my means. It's fine.
Yes.
But you know, I'm still like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you're human. We're all human.
We're still human.
Yeah. Are you in the market to sell a home, buy a home, or maybe both? Listen, it can be a super stressful process, but it doesn't have to be. Lacey Cossette is an award-winning Saskatoon realtor who prides herself in being your one-stop shop for both buying and selling, and is passionate about helping her clients find their forever home. Guys, it shows when you meet her. With over 12 years in the industry and a 98% list-to-sale ratio, Lacey finds the best individual approach and plan for her clients, including extensive and personalized marketing strategies, because we all know that is more important now than ever. Along with her husband and partner, Kyle Berneski, Lacey is licensed in residential, commercial, and farm, so she literally has you covered no matter what real estate area you need. And she has built solid and long-standing relationships within the industry, so she can dial up the best lawyers, mortgage brokers, appraisers, and contractors for you. So if you want a driven, hardworking, and connected agent who will go above and beyond for you, this is a no-brainer, you guys. Get in touch with Lacey. You will find her at Realty Executive Saskatoon, on socials at Lacey Cossette, that's at LACEYCOSSETTE, and online at laceycossette.com. Don't worry, friends, all the info is linked for you right in the show notes.
So, and your girl loves shopping. And if you watch me on Instagram, you're probably like, you shop a lot, but there's a system to this.
It's a different situation.
It's a different situation now. So anyway, so that was my big ones. And then my second persona was, okay, so once you get back into your budget and you rein it in and you are like, okay, we're in the green, because the other thing I'm going to talk about, we use this budget app, and when things were good, you were like green. When things were getting bad, they were yellow. And when things were bad, you were in the red.
That gives us such a great visual.
I'm visual.
Yes.
And also, I'm a little like, well, if it's already red, it's red. We're screwed. So who cares? And that's not a great mentality. The flip side of it is when I'm in green, I'm like, I want to stay in the green. Like that's a motivator for me. So I have that attitude, and I could pinpoint it everywhere in my life, right? I ate one donut. I may as well eat 3. Like,
yes,
I've already done the damage, right? That kind
all
of
or nothing.
All or nothing attitude. Absolutely. And so, right. So like, once your budget was in the green and it was like, okay, you're good. You're kind of starting like healthy, in a good place. So now my clothing budget is great, and I have $300 for clothing in a month. Does that mean I have to spend it?
So that is a curious thing for me, is like, then were you like, Kate, here's my $300. And did you spend it all at first?
So the tips I had for this were, because I was like, I need to learn, because the permission was I could, because it was in our budget. And my husband had been like, you just have to stay in the budget and we're fine.
Yeah.
But we weren't saving. And so for that persona, what I came up with was, let me just find it here. So number one, before you go shopping, so the basic one is use cash. Like if you know you're going out with your girlfriends and you're like, we're going shopping today, I'm going to take out $100. And I am only spending $100.
Yeah.
And that does not mean when you get to the till and it's 105, you pull out your card. It means you put something back.
Oh,
and you go, I have $100 today. It's hard to do because we don't carry cash, and it's physically hard to do when you're standing at the till and you're like, but it's like $5 over.
Was it very humbling?
But like no one else knows what's going on.
What's going on.
I don't want to speak for you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no one knows what's going on with me.
Obviously, I was a part of your
TJ
journey
knew a
because
lot
I
of
was
what was going
accountability.
on.
But I'm imagining even when we've gone out with people like back then, you know what I mean? And there was other people involved. I'm like, no one was drawing attention to it. Like no one knew unless you chose to speak it out.
I would also say I am actually friends with a lot of people who don't spend money.
So I think I should have clarified, like, was it humbling inside for yourself?
I don't think so, because I had a goal.
Okay.
Because I think I was motivated by my goal. Yeah. And again, I felt satisfaction from reaching my goal when I could be like, I didn't do that. And so, use cash. This can avoid overspending outside of your budget. A big one was take inventory of your closet before you go shopping. For me, because I would go shopping and I'd like buy something and I'd get home and I'd be like, I almost have this exact thing.
No wonder I liked it.
No wonder I grabbed it. No wonder like the colors are a little different or like whatever. So take inventory of what you have. And then the next one kind of after that is create a wish list and stick to it. So I was finding that I'd be like, I want black boots, tall. This is actually what happened. I wanted tall knee-high black boots, and you will see them on my Instagram page because I finally found them and bought them. And I was like, I want thigh-high black suede boots. And then I would like go to a store and buy something else that wasn't on my wish list, but I found it and it was cute and it fit.
Yeah.
Right. Other shoes. And so it started to be like, add it to your wish list because it's a valid thing you want. And you have to validate your want. You have to acknowledge your wants. You can't be like, I don't want, like, that's just denying something in you probably. So acknowledge your want and then acknowledge that maybe your want is not right now. Maybe you have to wait a little while, or you're going to take the time to now evaluate when I go shopping. I'm going to take my cash and I'm going to look for black boots because that's on my wish list. And if I don't find black boots, I don't spend that money today.
Because I think a lot of people show up when they go shopping and they're like, well, let's just see what we find. Let's see if we find a sale. Let's see what speaks to me. And it's like, and then you come home and you're like,
you don't go with an intention.
Well, and even now I will find myself, like I spend money on things and I'm like, you know what I really need? A couple of new bras from NYX. And they're expensive. So I'm like, those should be on my wish list.
Yeah.
Because I actually need to buy them. But they still cost a lot of money. But now I went and bought something else, right? So I'm still work in progress on this, but it's a lot better. So create a wish list and stick to it. Tell people about your wish list. Tell your accountability person. A big one for me was this or that when you go shopping.
Okay. Expand on that.
Okay.
I love a good this or that.
I know, this or that. So Nick's big thing was, do you want to do a reno when we move to the farm? And this is funny because this is literally real time right now.
Yes.
He was like, you want to do an expensive thing and we're going to get to the farm and we're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to harass me to do it. We're going to take out a line of credit. We're going to go into debt, all this thing. So I would go shopping and hold a bag. And you all know I love a bag. And I'd be like, do I want this bag or do I want that? And I'd say that reno, those countertops, that new sink, that new flooring. And what's been very cool is in the last few weeks, as we've wrapped up our reno, I said to Nick, this was a long game for me that I'm now reaping the rewards from and experiencing the joy from working on myself, for really being vulnerable and open about my problems. And now I get to stand in our home and be like, we paid for all of this.
I'm so proud of
Like
you.
in cash. Right? And like,
what a great accomplishment.
Yes. So now I'm like, it's so cool because I get to sit here and be like, this is why I worked. And like I said to Nick, I'm like, all the times I like looked at an item and was like, I want this, but I really want countertops. I'm like, look at my countertops. Like, I'm like, I have them. Right. And so it was like a very big thing for me. So it's been very cool to see in the last, just be able to do everything we wanted and not compromise.
Yeah.
In our reno. And that's not because I make so much money. It's because I did work. Right. And so that benefit. And then the last one, which I really love, and it's very hard to do if you're at Winners or HomeSense, so I understand. So I have a little like side tip for those stores. When you're in a store and see something you like, take a photo of it and wait a week. Refer back to the photo, and if in a week you still want it and it fits in your budget, go for it.
I love that. You're waiting a beat.
You're waiting a beat. You're sleeping on it. My only thing about like HomeSense is like,
probably going to be gone.
It's going to be gone. So my advice for those situations is buy it. And if you have one of those cards, you can wait like, I think 30 days.
Yes.
Buy it and leave the tag on.
Yeah.
Just leave the tag on, have it in your home for a bit and see if you still want it, because you can return it. So I'm a big believer in I leave almost all my tags on HomeSense stuff anyways, but I'm like,
and other stuff.
And
I
other stuff.
Your coat.
And my coats and everything. I just like leave
habit.
tags on. It's just like now a habit to leave a tag on. But my thought is you can then return it and you can bring it home and understand if you actually liked it, if it's actually beneficial to your life. If you keep thinking about it, then it might be worth it, right? It might actually, bring value to your life. And so just recently I did an H&M haul on my stories and I tried on this like pink ombre dress. I don't know if you saw it. It's like crochet.
No, I didn't
it was like
see it.
really cute. A lot of you thought I shouldn't keep it. It was very
Who
cute.
are you people?
I know. And so I kept all this H&M stuff and I think you have like 30 days to return. And I was returning almost all of it, but I was like, I'm going to keep this dress. It's so cute. Nick liked it. It was like this whole thing when I first tried it on. I was like, I love it. So I like hung it in my closet with the tag on it. And when I went to return, I was like, I like looked at it and I was like, I really like this, but I did inventory of my closet. I looked at like all the pink stuff I had. I looked at all my spring dresses and I was like, you know, in 6 months, I'll be trying to sell this dress. So I was like,
Take it back.
take it back. Another tip I have developed now, actually, which it wasn't in my list. And then I'm sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, I'm very into this.
My other tip was I'm now in a space where if I buy something from H&M and I take it home and I like put it on a bunch and I don't take the tag on, and when I'm like going to return, I say to myself, should I return this item? I return it because I'm
already questioning.
I'm already questioning if I want to keep it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guarantee I won't.
Well, if it's not a heck yes,
No.
then it's a no.
And it's kind of one of those things that's like, I've tried on things. I also have like, you guys, my closet is so extensive that I'm like, I tell myself if I buy this coat, I'm not wearing that coat. Right? If I buy this item, I'm not wearing that item I really love. So maybe I need to wear that item more. Right? And so again, like I have like all these things and all these little things I say to myself to really walk me through my shopping experiences and really walk me through like, which is why now I will feel confident in certain purchases because I'm like, no, I know I will wear this. I know I've thought about it. I've considered all these things. But yeah, just like these are like the tools I developed and these are the things I like used to get ahead of the game and to be able to. And I remember coming out to see CJ. It was literally before COVID. We went shopping we went to like Canmore and then we went shopping. I didn't spend a single thing. And I remember you were like,
I was like, are you all right?
I didn't buy a single thing.
I was so proud.
I literally didn't buy a single thing except probably food.
Yeah.
Like supper.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went home and I had tried on a blazer and I kept thinking about the blazer and I kept thinking about the blazer and it was probably a month in and I was like, I'm buying this blazer. It was like $40 from H&M. But I thought I took my time to be like, do I want this? I still have it in my closet. I've never gotten rid of it. And so I'm like, you just have to develop these systems in place if you're struggling. And I feel like a lot of these could be put into other areas of life.
Absolutely.
But just for me, this is what got me through to build up my savings account to be able to pay for a reno and be more giving in life and be able to do more, right?
Well, I think there's just been so much freedom for you. And being able to like watch you on this journey has been so powerful.
Yeah.
And you're going to get real uncomfortable, but I'm so proud of you, you know, and how you've developed these things and moved from this space. And to just be in the inner workings of seeing that happen, it's just like incredible. And so I think if you guys are listening and you have a hard relationship with money and with spending, like there is hope out there and you can change those habits. And I think reading that book, The 5 Personalities of Money, is a great place to start. I think take some of Erika's tips, like get out your notebook, write them down, find an accountability partner.
Yeah.
And if you were going to look for an accountability partner, I don't know if you'd say this, Erika, but find someone who's that opposite. Yeah. Right? You know, like how Nick was the opposite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Find someone who is not also a risk taker and a high spender. Yeah. And not that you can't be friends with those people or interact with those people, you absolutely should, but for your accountability partner, right? Find someone who's going to balance you out and be like, no, I'm going to keep you accountable for those things.
And you know, I just thought of this as you said that, because I wonder if people are going to be like, why didn't you make Nick your accountability partner? Because we were opposite. And you know, I just thought of that. I was like, why? You know, and I'm like, I think there's something to be said. Like, I needed to do it outside of him. Like, I was like, I need to prove myself. And I know there's gonna be like women everywhere who are like, you don't need to prove yourself to a man. And I'm like, hey, like, he's my best friend and my partner. Like, sometimes you have to step up and change yourself if you're ruining things, right? And I was ruining things. And I wanted to prove that I could do it. And I wanted to, you know, I don't think at the time he would have been a place that I could have felt that I'd be like, hey, I really want this bag. And he'd be like, yeah, it's so cute, but don't buy it. He'd be like,
no, he wasn't the correct person.
No, it was not the right person. And so be mindful of that when you're choosing someone, because it is vulnerable. I'm like so much better. Yes, I love shopping. I get so much joy from fashion. But I'm pickier now, and I've really worked on not letting Instagram influence me the way that it once did. Mm-hmm. And I know that's really hard, because we see social media and we're like, everyone has this, right? And it's like, you just really got to ask yourself, is this going to like enhance your life? And not even now, but like in a week, in a month, in a year. And I do that now all the time. I will be like, especially with clothing, my big thing is like, next summer, am I going to want to wear this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there is room for that. There is room for purchasing something fun for a season, especially as women, the way trends are. Mm-hmm. But stick to one trend. Don't buy every new trend. Stick to one thing. Be like, I'm going to purchase this thing and wear it. Chunky loafers. Wear your chunky loafers. Yeah. But you don't need to go out and buy all new wide-legged jeans and all new oversized this. Try one or two pieces, right? And I think for a long time, I wanted everything. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have everything. And that was definitely fulfilling me in a way that, you know, was just not healthy at the time.
I'm curious if you would also say, therapy was a great addition to this, because there was some underlying, for any person, right, that has like a personality or an addiction or something that they're working through, right, underlying things that were also contributing to this, right? And when you can dig deep and work through some of that and feel really comfortable in your own skin and your own body, I think that that's a great place to start as well, probably.
Well, yeah, and understanding like, why, and I talked about that with these personas, and again, like, maybe I should make it into like a cute thing that people can save and share and stuff like that, but I'm like, you know, the root of why you're doing something, right? Like, I didn't want to put my husband and I into that financial space. Like, there was stuff going on. And I'm going to preface this by saying that was a great part in getting my marriage on the right track, but it's not that it went and everything got fixed and we're perfectly fine now. We're still married and we still have problems, and, you know, we're looking at our reno and going, okay, like, how's our budget? How are things looking? You know, but it's just helpful. And if you don't have a good relationship with money, 100% read the 5 money personalities, read it with your partner.
Yes.
Because you're going to learn so much about each other. And I think there's so much more grace given when you understand each other.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll link it somewhere. We'll link it in our show notes, and we'll link it in our stories and stuff.
Absolutely.
But that's my money story.
Well, and I just think like it's so relatable. And I think I read a statistic where, this may not be the correct numbers, but it was something like, it was over 50%, so like 57% or something like that and I think it was Americans could not afford $1,000 emergency expense.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's very normal.
And I'm like, and I think that number has continued to jump like as like COVID happened and things like this, and we've gone down in money, and I just like get so fired up in wanting people to understand their finances and find financial freedom. Yeah. Because I'm like, it's such a huge stress on your own personal life. It's a huge stress on your relationships. Like, it trickles down into everything. And something I'm learning is like how much our body holds stress, right? And that creates disease and inflammation. And I'm like, these are some of these core issues that we need to work on and bring to the forefront and not be scared to talk about. Again, especially, I'm just going to say, like, as women, you know what I mean? And just people in society, I guess, too. Just so that we can get to a healthier place financially, because I think that there is that ability in each of us to do that if we're willing to like do some of the hard work and put in that effort.
Your tips are so good.
I think that people absolutely need to take out a notebook, need to write their notes. One piece of advice.
Like, my mind is just so full. Like, I'm glad that you shared so much. I have a lot of takeaways. So thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Well, we're so excited to hear all your guys' thoughts. Like, please reach out to us, tag us, let us know what your insight is. I think that there were so many good nuggets. Re-listen to it, share it with a friend, right? If you know other people who are in financial stress or struggling, I think that this is a good episode to be able to listen back to. So enjoy, guys.
Thanks.
Bye. Want ad space on the Her podcast? Email itsherpod@gmail.com.
Thank you everyone for joining us on this episode of the Her podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.